Now it's time for Talking with TC. On May 28, 2016, during a game at Citi Field in New York, during a Mets-Dodgers encounter, our special guest and Terry Collins became joined at the hip forever. He was a major league umpire for many years, debuting in 1985 in the National League, retiring in 2022. He officiated 2 World Series, 5 League Championship Series, 9 Division Series, and 2 All-Star games. But he will always be known from that game in May when his ass was in the jackpot during what has become one of the most widely seen viral videos of an umpire and MLB manager going at it. So today, Terry gets his shot. Let's bring on Tom Hallion. How you doing, Tom?
Very good. Thank you.
Hi,
Terry,
Tom.
there
How
you
you
go.
doing?
Good, Terry. Wish I was in
Well,
Florida.
it's
It's kind of
certainly,
cold up here.
yeah. Well, it is certainly an honor to have you on the show. It's uh, I've known you obviously for many, many years. Great respect, and what happened when that video came out. You and I were the conversation in a lot of parties at a lot of bar stools, and it's going to be fun to talk about the event itself.
Yeah, it took on a life of its own. And I don't know. I've told people that knew you, that were going to see you or whatever. I just would always tell them, just tell Terry how much I respected him. And that's why we got through that argument the way we did. So it's great to be able to sit here now and talk with you about it.
Yeah, I'm really looking forward to it. I'm down here in Florida, and I have a lot of New York fans down here, and I meet somebody new every week, and the first thing they'll say is, "Boy, I saw that video, you and Tom Hallion. It's the greatest video I've ever seen." So we'll share some thoughts on it today. And John, you have anything else you want to add before we take a look at it?
Well, yeah, this is the first time. This is kind of an exclusive. I mean, this has been, seen around the world for years now. But this is actually the first time that you two have gotten together to discuss it publicly.
That's
Yes.
true.
So we have the tape. We're going to bring the tape up and we're going to get into it. And this is, like I said, one of the most widely viewed ejections of a manager in the history of baseball. It was leaked, and still that source who leaked it is unknown because Major League Baseball had a rule. If an umpire is mic'd up, they're supposed to get rid of that video right after that game if it's a mic'd up situation. In this case, somebody saved it and somebody leaked it, and the world has watched it over and over again. It's truly a classic piece of video. Let's get to it, Marsh, and get that video up and see what all happened in 2016. So basically, starts off with Noah throwing behind Utley immediately.
You're done.
I guess the umpire, and then here's Tom coming to confront Noah and telling him he's been ejected.
That ain't gonna happen. I mean, I knew you were gonna say that, but that ain't gonna happen. I mean, that's the wrong time to do it. That's all. I'm telling you. Well, it is what it is, but that ain't gonna happen. Our ass is in the jackpot. We don't do something there. I'm just telling you that.
But shouldn't there be a warning?
No. I mean, okay, the situation of what happened and everything else, that's what dictates that. Okay.
But there was no prior knowledge that before the game started. I mean, if Harry comes into the dugout and says, "Hey, if somebody gets hit," then
everybody knows what the situation is. Okay.
All right, let's pause it there. Terry, take it away.
Yeah. So obviously, Tom, the biggest question everybody wants to know: where did the phrase "our asses in the jackpot" come from?
Boy, I haven't used it in maybe 5 times in my life, but I don't know why that night it came out twice, once to Noah and once to you. It goes back to when I was a young kid living in Saugerties, New York. We would get home from school and we'd go right to the ball field, and we would play, all baseball till 6 or till we had to be home. Well, there was a couple times we went extra innings, and I wanted to stay a little later, and that's when my sister would ride her bike over, and she'd go, "Mommy wants you home. Your ass is in the jackpot." meaning I was in trouble. I crossed the line and I'm in trouble. So that's where it came from. But I have to be honest with you. I very rarely use it, but that night it came out twice.
It's funny you bring that up because ever since the video has come out, I mean, everybody wants to know. I talk to people and they'll say, "What did he mean by that?" I said, I don't know. I haven't talked to Tom since it happened. I'm looking forward to hearing what it meant by it also. But I think it's a great story. I mean, it came out to be a great story. And but again, I thought the way you handle those guys on the mound. It's pretty funny when you look at the video. The guys that were there with Eric Campbell was there, Neil Walker, and Ty Kelly. And Ty Kelly makes a joke today. He said, "My gosh, in my brief major league career." He said, "I'm in the most watched video in in the last 10 years of baseball. I happen to be in that game." He said, "Everybody talks to me about being on the mound at that particular time."
He was smart. He had good timing.
That's right.
I have a question, Tom. What was the reason that you were mic'd up for that particular game?
Well, it was a Fox game. It was Saturday afternoon. And Fox, we had agreed to having the home plate umpire mic'd up for added, stimulus to the game. They wanted to hear what the umpire said or what went on. But we also had, the rule that after every game, it got destroyed. It was not to be leaked out or kept or anything else. So that's why it was such a big surprise 2 years later when it hit the internet and it came out. But we had a AAA umpire working with our crew, and the union had decided that they would not wear the microphone only to protect them, and so the crew chief would usually put the microphone on. Well, I had first base that day, and that's why I had the microphone on.
I said, one of the things that usually I'm certainly aware that someone, that is, and like Tom said, it's usually the home plate umpire that's mic'd. And so, I didn't think anything of it when, I went out to home plate because I knew he wasn't mic'd. So when Tom came in, got all of a sudden came up, obviously I'd forgotten that he'd alerted me to the fact that he was mic'd. So, obviously I got a little carried away with myself.
No, it was good.
A little bit. Before we get to the clip, we're going to restart it and see where it got wild. This was a volatile situation, a potential volatile situation, because what happened in the playoffs with Utley and everything that happened. Were there discussions before the game with the umpiring crew that something possibly could happen that night in regard to a retaliation or a message?
Yeah, we talked about it. The first night, Friday night, Terry brings the lineup card out, and Dave Roberts was first-year manager for the Dodgers. He brings the lineup cards out, and there was small talk about this and that, and welcoming Dave to the big leagues and everything. And he said, Terry, this is my first year as manager, and I didn't have anything to do with what went on in the playoffs in last year. So I just want you to know that we're cool and everything. And so Terry said, well, it was bullshit, but we got to move on and let's go. And they shook hands and they left. And when they left home plate, my second base umpire, Phil Cuzzy, goes to me. He goes, "That was the kiss of death right there." They left shaking hands and being good and everything's good. And you knew something was you didn't know, but that's the classic of pat you on the back and then kick you in the ass. So we did have discussions. Listen, if it's up by his head, behind him, shoulder high, just use your gut, use your instincts of what's going on with the game, and do what you think you have to do. So I said that to the other three guys. They had full backing of me if that's what they decided. So That was our discussion. We did have a discussion about it, and it was just let the game dictate what happens. That's all.
Okay. Terry, did you have a discussion with Noah before the game about anything?
I did not. I had, a lot of people thought something may happen because it was Noah. During the playoffs, he had insinuated in Game 5 when we played the Dodgers, and after Chase had broke Tejada's leg on the slide, he didn't play for 2 games, and then we went back to Game 5, and we thought for sure he was going to play. And Noah came up to me because I put him in the bullpen that night, and he said, "You want me to throw at somebody tonight? If you want me to throw at somebody, let me know." And I said, Right now we're going to worry about winning the game. We'll worry about that other stuff later. The most important thing is to win this game tonight. So obviously we went on to the World Series, and if you remember in the Game 3 of the World Series, he did what he did to Utley to Escobar, the leadoff hitter of the Royals, and it shook the Royals up. To be honest, they were screaming and hollering out of the dugout, and of course nobody went to the mound. The guy's 6'7", 250 pounds. Nobody went out there. But they had a lot to say about it. And, to be honest, I think maybe it kind of fired us up. So when we played the Dodgers the next year, nothing was said to Noah, but there was that little piece that you said, gosh, because Chase, when they introduced him, when they introduced the lineup, obviously he got roundly booed. So everybody at the ballpark on both clubs knew that there was, there might be something going on. But to be honest, I really thought if there was anything that was going to happen, he'd probably hit him. But throwing behind him and then to get ejected, and I had to go. Obviously, when you got to protect your players, and so it came what it was. But no, he shocked me by not saying something, and maybe he told the guys in the bullpen he was going to do it. I don't know.
Mm-hmm. Well, let's get to the video and see what happens next. And this has become world famous. Everyone is going to see it right now.
Then you talk to me about it. Okay.
You gotta give us a shot.
You know what?
You gotta give us
Harry,
a shot.
Okay, listen to me and let me hear what I'm saying, okay? You get your shot. You had your shot right there in the situation.
Well, why
you
not?
know the situation, Terry.
Why don't we get a shot, Tommy?
Because that makes it worse. Terry, that makes it fucking worse.
I know it. But MLB did nothing to that guy. Nothing.
Okay, I can't control that, Terry. I can't control that. You know as well as I do Terry, you know where I stand on the whole fucking situation.
But you're better than that, Tommy. You know that.
Terry, listen, I'm telling you, our ass is in the jackpot now. Okay? Okay, I'm just telling you.
Fucking motherfucker.
You know what? That's you got it. Okay, get it. You got everything out.
That brought back a couple memories of the whole argument, Terry. That was pretty good.
Yeah, well, again, when it all happened, and Tom, I tell a lot of people, I think it was the second year I was managing in the major leagues in Houston, we had a fight with Cincinnati, and Big John McSherry was the home plate umpire, and I can't really today don't know how it started, but I knew that we had to retaliate as the opposing team, and he came to me while he was getting ready to eject players from the first incident of guys coming out of the dugout. He looked at me. He didn't even look up from his papers. He's writing down names. He goes, "You got one shot. You get the first guy in the batter's box, and then I'm going to put a stop to this." And I said, "Okay, that's fine." So, and one of the things about it, again, Tom, the old time we lived it, we went through it. Guys didn't hide it. They did it. I mean, they didn't wait till it was 2-0 or something, you walked in there and you got drilled. And I'm going to tell you to this day, and I am sure in my heart, Chase Utley knew that they were going to throw at him. And if we had hit him, he would have flipped the bat to the dugout and went to first base. There's no doubt in my mind, because that's what kind of a pro he is. He just gets it, And so, I just reacted because we never did get to see him until that particular moment. Yeah, our shot went aside when Noah threw it behind him. But again, as we looked at the video, obviously you were able to keep your calm. Where I didn't. I got a little carried away myself.
I know there was a part of it which, when I say it brought back memories. I got a little more animated because I heard the crowd behind me, and you were really going at it, and I just wanted to kind of give it back to you a little bit just to say, okay, I'm going to take this, but you better not try anything else.
But and that's the thing, Tom, that you kind of miss today. I mean, we all get that. Managers get that. We say something, we expect something to come back once in a while. It's no big. One of the reasons why, and I have tremendous respect for umpires. My college roommate was a major league umpire for many, many, many years. His name was Rocky Rowe. And so even in the offseason, we'd get together and we'd talk about managers and talk about manager-umpire relationships. It was always a part of the game, and it was like, the guys that we knew, cared about the game and did their job. They got tremendous respect from the players and stuff. But there was always going to be an argument because nobody's perfect. And I miss that today when I see some of these games, and I miss that stuff. So anyway, it was over, and I thought, to be honest, I was very surprised that this thing got out.
It was 2 years later. I was umpiring a game up in Seattle, and came in the locker room, and boom, the phone was blowing up. Yeah.
Well, I know, when it happened, I had retired, and I was down here in Florida, and I got a phone call, and someone said, "Hey, have you seen the video of you on the internet?" And I said, "No." They said, "Well, you need to see it." So I thought, "Really?" He goes, "No, you need to see this." So, and I did. So I saw it, and I was shocked by it. So I had a very good friend at Major League Baseball, Kim Eng, who was there. And I called Kim, and I said, "How did this get out?" And she said, "We don't know." I said, "Well, don't you think there needs to be an apology coming to Tom and I someplace? This shouldn't have gotten out." And she said, "Well, we're looking into it." And obviously, I never got a call. I don't know if you did, Tom. But I never
They're still looking, Terry.
Yeah.
What's funny, just to add on to that is, so I was up in Seattle. We get done with the game. I worked the plate that night, get done with the game, and then boom, the phones blow up, and then it's like, holy shit. So, you call the union president, you say, "Hey, what's going, this just hit the internet. What's going on?" Da da da. So anyhow, that it kind of is like, there's a lot going on now because your phone's ringing, this person's calling, that person's calling. But guess where we went after the Seattle series? L.A.
New York.
L.A.
Oh, L.A. Oh my God.
So I worked third base. You have the plate, and then you go to
Right.
third. So I worked third base, and I'm kind of jogging down to third base, and Chase and Kershaw are right at the top of the dugout and say, "Hey, Tom, come here." So I walk over, and they say, "Hey, where did this ass in the jackpot come from? What does that mean?" So they were the first two that I explained it to.
Oh, that's good.
Yeah,
that's good.
And you are absolutely right, Terry. Chase has told me that, Tom, I wish he would have hit me. I would have walked to first base, and it would have been over. But the fact that he didn't, I didn't want him thrown out or anything. But I said, well, you're a ball player. I'm an umpire. I have to do my job. You do your job. So, but he totally got it. That's old. That's you were saying all that, and it's like reminds me of old school. That's where I learned how to umpire. That's where you learned how to umpire. Now it's different now. So, but it's it's kind of, you look back on it, you're watching the video. It's pretty neat that that was a major league game that two people trying to, one to tell his point, the other guy to tell his point, and we came out of it, in good shape. So that was good.
Yeah, a lot of my friends, when they've watched it, they've said, we never, as a fan, we never know what's being said on the field ever, and that was the first time any of us got exposed to what actually is being said between an umpire and a manager, and they thought it was the coolest thing they've ever seen. And I have relatives, young boys that are my nephews, and they call me. They'll say, "Uncle Terry, I watch that almost every day." And I would say, "Okay, I think you might want to move on." It's time to move on.
Yeah, no, but it's true. It's I don't know. Who knows how many times it's been played, and who knows how many people have come up to either me or you and said that was a great video. He goes, and most of them say we wish there would just be more of that in the game. So that's that. That is, you got to be careful. We talked about crossing that line and everything, but if you could bring a little bit of it, like you said though, with the game nowadays, it's different. You don't get those arguments anymore.
Yeah, Tom. Did when before you retired, and obviously replay came into being, did you guys as umpires, did you like the fact that replay was coming in, and maybe those manager umpire relationships were kind of pushed off to the side? Did you guys notice a big difference?
Yeah, the older guys, old school guys, were try to fight it right to the end. The newer guys, they were all happy with it. So that was the difference. It was a different game back then. I had to defend my call. You had to defend the player, your team, and you would do what you had to do to kind of make that point. And you don't get that anymore. Now you get this.
Yeah, I know it.
What a replay.
Yeah. One of the things also, John, that that these things go on. The professionalism of the game. Even when you have a confrontation like Tom and I had, the next day it was over. There wasn't care. Hey, look, it happened in the heat of the battle, and we got to start fresh. And the next day, otherwise, the camaraderie between managers and umpires would really fold if you didn't have the ability to say, okay, it's done, let's move on. I paid my penalty. Tom did his job. Let's just move on and play another game. And that's the thing I always respected about Tom and all the umpires that I've ever dealt with. They kicked me out of the game. Hey, the next day it was forgotten. So,
well, it happened more than once, right, Terry?
Yeah,
you being tossed out of a couple of games.
Yeah,
I have a question for you though. But did you ever ask Noah, like, how the heck did you miss him? Or
I did. Yeah, that's a good question. Obviously, when the game was over, it was over, but we both were ejected. And I went in the locker room and I went right up to him. I said, "What was that?" And he said, "I just wanted to send a message." I said, "Well, hit him. You throw 100. If you're gonna, you want to send a message, leave a bruise. That'll send a message." But that was his way of saying, I probably didn't really want to hurt him, because he did throw really hard, but he just wanted to send a message. And obviously when you're managing the game and it's a big game against the Los Angeles Dodgers, and I'm sure Tom remembers, there was a big crowd at those games. And here my whole bullpen is going to be scrambled. So I wish I'd had been a little bit more prepared so that I could make sure someone was ready if the instance came about. But players are players, and they make decisions on the spur of the moment, and sometimes they don't get a chance to let you know what's going to happen. So again,
it leads to getting their ass in the jackpot.
Yes, it does. It does. That's true.
Well, this is great to just see you guys get together and like no hard feelings. You have utmost respect for each other. And when Terry, you said that you had talked to Tom and he agreed to do this show, I knew it was going to be an amazing segment, and just wonderful to see you guys together and finally get a chance to talk to each other about it publicly.
Yeah, I think it's great, and I really appreciate Tom coming on the show. And I will tell you, John, I've talked to a lot of people in the last 10 days and told them that Tom was coming on, and they said, we cannot wait to see the segment. So I'm excited. Tom, thanks so much for being on the show.
Well, it's been my pleasure, Terry, and it has been great to be able to sit here and talk about it. And the best part was to laugh about it, because it is fun. There's parts of it that are funny, and it got the blood flowing when I was watching the argument. It was nice to remember and go through it again. And to be honest with you, I'd argue with you any day, Terry.
Well, thanks again for being on, John, or Tom. I really appreciate it. John, anything else for Tom?
No, I just appreciate it, Tom, very, very much. It's a pleasure to meet you, and thank you so much for doing the Terry Collins Show today.
It was my pleasure.